Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do our new kind of segment. We're going to call it "Have You Seen This?" Where basically each week me and Rob are going to pick a film for each other that neither of us have seen before. It's probably going to be me picking horror films for Rob and Rob picking cult thrillers for me.
Good mix.
Great mix. And I mean, what's the difference between a thriller and a horror film? Not much. It's like a fly's dick of a difference, really.
I mean, Silence of the Lambs, thriller, horror.
Yeah.
It's a bit of everything.
Exactly, yeah. So this week, for Rob, and I was really shocked when you told me you hadn't seen this, is Creepshow from 1982, written by Stephen King, directed by
George A. Romero.
Thank you very much, Rob. So yeah, what the format I want to do with this, obviously, because Creepshow is a film, an anthology, and it's broken into segments. So I'm going to sort of ask Rob his thoughts on each segment, and then Rob can give his overall score, and I'll give mine.
Yes.
So we'll start off, Rob, with the prologue, which is where Billy, played by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, and you've got Tom Atkins as his dad.
Yeah.
I think his dad's name's Stanley, is it? Something like that.
I only watched this film last night for the first time. So, and because there's so many different stories, keeping up with the characters' names was a bit difficult for me. So as you mentioned, the certain characters...
Yes, I have. Yeah, forgot. Yeah, we're going to do this every week with the notes. Because,
notes are good
notes
because
are great
it fails us from making the mistakes that we may do.
So how did you feel about the beginning? Obviously, it's a bit with the comic book, and obviously Tom Atkins gives his son a little...
Perfect start, because it sort of sets up the tone of what you're about to watch.
Yes.
And straight away, if you're a horror fan, again, I'm not a massive horror fan, but I do know enough about it to sort of appreciate the gloriness of Tom Atkins.
Yes.
So when I saw Tom Atkins, straight away, it gives you a buzz immediately. And I did not know Billy Hopkins, who's a little boy, was Joe Hill. And Joe Hill, like Chad said, is Stephen King's son.
Who wrote Lock and Key, which is a Netflix show, and amazing graphic novels.
I've not actually seen it yet.
No.
The TV show. I've heard all about it. I mean, that's the first I ever heard of Joe Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he also did Nosferatu, and
I did not know that.
I think he's got one called Heart-Shaped Box as well.
Are these TV shows or are these films?
Nosferatu is. I'm sure it's pronounced Nosferatu. It's a number plate, and it's about. Obviously, it's going to be about a vampire. I've never read it or watched it, but I have read Heart-Shaped Boxes. I'm sure it's called that. It's a very good book.
Okay. I've never seen any of them.
Okay.
And like I say, the Joe Hill thing is completely new to me. But straight away, like I say, you get this vibe. What you're sort of going to watch. It's got like the weather stuff, like the wind outside. There's a bit of thunder, isn't there? I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
And
you see the tapping at the window.
Yeah, the little boy when he goes to bed after his dad takes the comic off him, the Creepshow comic, and then throws it in the bin. That's obviously where it all begins. And straight away, you get that 80s vibe, and that's what I like about horror films more than anything.
Yeah.
Is like there's an atmosphere about how they're presented, and that's what Creepshow does very well. I mean, like I said, there is a wealth of names attached to this movie.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So straight away, coming with the credits, straight after, because I think the credits come after the tap in the window scene, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and you've got obviously people that have watched the new series Creepshow by Greg Nicotero.
Right.
The beginning is basically a homage to the original Creepshow film.
Because Greg Nicotero is the makeup artist, isn't he? His makeup?
Yeah,
he does Walking Dead.
Yeah, and he was in Day of the Dead. He's one of the people that died, and he worked under Tom Savini.
Right. Oh, so he's like a protege.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for, protege. Yeah. So yeah, the beginning.
It does set it up perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to our first segment, which is called Father's Day, which had a very young Ed Harris.
Ed Harris with hair.
That's what I always say to people: Ed Harris with hair, because when you say Ed Harris, you always go the bald guy.
Well, what year? Yeah,
the bald guy.
What year was Creepshow?
82.
82. So Ed Harris's career, I mean, for me, it peaked. I mean, he's great in many films like The Rock and things like that, but The Abyss in 1989, I think it was. Like, that's not a massive amount of time between the two films. And like I say, so Ed Harris by this time, because he only did Night Riders.
Oh, I don't know.
Which is one of George A. Romero's films.
That's the only. Yeah, I've never seen that.
It's not the most sought after film. It's one of those.
Is that about the bikers? Is it?
And the knights.
Yeah,
it's basically Arthurian.
I have seen some of that actually.
Through motorcyclists, and but no, the father. I must admit, I did not like the beginning. Apart from the prologue. Yeah. Is that the right word? Prologue.
Yes. Yeah.
Apart from that, which I enjoyed, I did not enjoy the Father's Day segment because it was okay. Like I say, seeing Ed Harris. I liked seeing Ed Harris dance.
Yeah,
That was fun.
It's very Crispin Glover in Part 4
Yeah,
Friday the 13th.
absolutely.
It's awkward.
I like that example.
Oh, thank you.
And but yeah, it just didn't seem like, obviously it's about a father and daughter relationship and how she's a spinster and
yeah, she's meant to look after her father who's had a stroke, who's Nathan. Well, how do you say their last name? Grantham.
Yeah. And I just didn't like. I mean, with segments, you've only got these small amount of time to grab you. Haven't you,
Usually 30 to 45 minutes, isn't it? Usually.
So it's like a TV episode, really, like its own standalone episode of a TV show. And for me, I don't know, it just didn't start off well for me. I mean, I just thought I wasn't, apart from seeing Ed Harris, which I enjoyed, but the rest of it, I just sort of thought, okay, I'm not into this, but on to the next. And like I say, because obviously the father's sort of like, he's just a horrible bastard, basically.
A ball bag.
Yeah, he's a nasty.
He just screams and he's mentally abusive to her.
Yeah, and do you know what he reminded me of? Going back to our previous podcast, the chap in Rocky Horror, the man in the wheelchair.
Oh yeah,
sort of gave me those vibes.
I give you that. Yeah.
He's in this big house.
Cantankerous, is that?
Was that his name?
No.
He's in this house, and he's sort of like just there.
Yeah.
And I give Father's Day had a creepy vibe about it.
I really like the
no pun intended.
The makeup on the Nathan's corpse, the zombie.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was played by Tom Savini did the effects.
Yeah.
On Creepshow. That was played by a guy called John Amplis, I think. Is that his name? How you say it? He was in Day of the Dead. He was one of the doctors. And he was also, have you seen Martin, George Romero's vampire film?
Once.
He plays Martin in that.
Oh, wow. That's massive.
Yeah, so
I don't remember Martin enough to remember that.
Yeah, John Amplis. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Yeah, he played Martin, and he played the the doctor who's got a bit of a goatee and the glasses. That's John Amplis in Day of the Dead as well.
I need to rewatch the Day of the Dead films.
You do, yeah.
It's been a long time.
That isn't the only connection to that film in this film either, is it? When we get a bit to one of the other segments, there's another star of Day of the Dead in there.
Yes, and I'm partially forgetting that already, but we will get to it.
We will get there. So I'm going to ask you for what would you rate that out of 10? Like that segment for
Father's Day, I'd say it's 4.
Yeah,
because it just didn't do anything for me. Like I say, I mean, it had moments in it that I liked, but the rest of it, I just thought it was a bit throwaway for me.
Yeah, I get it.
But then again, I thought it was an odd start as well, because I thought, if you want your films to start strong.
Yes.
And obviously the Tom Atkins scene strong, but then straight away it's followed up by something a bit more weaker. For me, I mean, fans might love it, but I just don't know.
I'm a big fan of Father's Day.
Yeah.
I really like I really like how the bit where Nathaniel's corpse comes out and he's got the mother's head on a plate.
Yes.
And obviously, I've got my cake. Yeah. And then it could start that comic book where they're like, ah!
The slapstick starts out of
Yes, I really like that. But I like that segment as a whole, to be honest with you. So we'll move on to the second one, which is the shortest segment, I think. Don't hold me to that, I'm pretty sure it is. Which is
go quick.
The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill, which stars Stephen King in probably his longest role, I'd say.
Longest role, and do you know what? Stephen King can act.
He can act. He plays good hillbilly.
Yeah. And watching, I knew who he was straight away. I mean, I knew obviously the connection. I know a lot about Creepshow. I mean, in films I seem to know a lot about films in general without actually seeing them.
Yes, yeah.
That's the normal film
fan.
Like
a sponge, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I think that's like that with any film fan. All film fans know some knowledge from films, whether they've seen them or not. It just happens. And Creepshow has always been around because, mixing with horror fans like yourself, it's always been talked about. And Stephen King, like I say, I know he's had an involvement directing-wise with Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
And
but he said he was on a lot of drugs when he filmed.
A lot of cocaine.
Right? Yeah, a lot of cocaine, yes.
It shows in a way, but it's still a fun film.
That's the one with the Green Goblin. Yeah. I never watched that.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, I never got around to watching that.
Honestly, it's a wild movie. I wouldn't know how to describe it really. It's like a dual sort of kind of thing about it, but it's a bit more slapstick and I suppose in a way it does show a bit of the amateurish direction by King because Stephen King, as we all know, is not a known director. He's a writer. But I still think, great for him to have a go with it. And I think it's great that he had a go with this because he generally is a good actor. I mean, yeah, he might not be able to pull off a full movie, but for what he did in this film as Geordie Merrill. Is it Merrill?
Verrill.
Yeah. Yes, he definitely pulled off enough. He's a bit of a dim-witted, sort of farmer boy.
Yeah, he lives in a swamp, doesn't he? Yeah.
And no, I really enjoyed it because I said the meteorite coming down and touching it. And
meteorite shit!
Yeah, it's I cannot, it's perfect for what he Is that the one he wrote, though? Is that the one he wrote
He did.
before the actual...
He wrote all of it.
All of it?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I know that some of it was originally made... I know one story in it. I'm not too sure which one it was. I can't remember. That was written originally just for the film, but the rest were just other stories that he's put in.
Oh, it might have been that one then.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. For some reason, my mind's telling me it's the crate segment, but I'm not. Don't hold me to that. I might be wrong.
Okay. Well, like I say, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit more. I wish they started off with that actually. I think straight away, you've got Tom Atkins and boom, you've got Stephen King. I think that would.
Okay.
I think it would.
Because I suppose in '82, Ed Harris wasn't really anyone, was he?
Not really. No. I mean, he would have been known for his probably smaller movies.
Yeah.
But not like this. But I just enjoyed the. It has the vibe of the. What's the segment called again?
Geordie the
Geordie Verrill.
Lonesome Dad Geordie Verrill.
That segment sums up Creepshow, I think, perfectly, quite well.
Yeah.
And for what you're about to watch, and every scene, and this is every segment. So when there's a death scene in it, it becomes a bit like Suspiria.
Yeah.
Sort of neon lights turn up, and I love that because I think it adds straight away. It adds to the comic book vibe.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. And but yeah, like I say, his hallucinations, because obviously Geordie, he finds his meteorite. And he's sort of like, he breaks it, doesn't he? And he wants to
he at first he has that hallucination that he's going to go to the nearby university to see a professor.
That's it.
What, before we go on to that, one of my favourite things about that segment is that it's carried by Stephen King, because there's only one other actor in there, isn't there?
Yes.
Because the person that plays his dad in the mirror and the professor in his hallucinations is played by Bingo O'Malley, which is an incredible name, and he's only credited as Geordie's dad.
What's Bingo O'Malley else been in?
I don't know. His name is familiar. I thought that, but I didn't look.
I've heard that name before.
But yeah, so yeah, you carry on about the hallucinations.
Yeah, they're good fun. I mean, like, you can tell Stephen King's having fun, and I suppose in a way for all the books he writes, and I'm guessing he must be quite. I think he's quoted a couple of times saying, it's quite a lonely job.
Yeah.
Because you're just sort of stuck in your own little world, and you can't really share it with anyone until you release it, I suppose, as in the book. And he looks like he's having a great time, and that shows, and it makes the film better. Or the segment of the story better, and I had fun with that one because I just wasn't expecting it. Like, I have seen stills of King in the movie,
but he's got the green over his face and that. Yeah.
And to be fair, you can take that as you find it, but to then watch it and then go, it's actually very good.
Yes,
and it kind of makes me wish. Obviously, in a way, I'm kind of glad, and we're all glad that King didn't just do acting and then sack off the writing, because the writing's the best part of him. But I still believe what he was doing in that segment. It was, it was like you say, he carried it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was enough for me to be, like I say, that was a strong. To me, that should have been the start of the film.
Would that have made Father's Day more enjoyable for you?
Maybe.
Because you'd be on a hype from that, being like, "Oh, this is good as well."
I'm complicated when it comes to movies sometimes, because I do enjoy like a great start to a movie. I think an opening is where it all begins. Whether an opening of a movie, to me, is like it's the decider if it's going to keep you watching.
Okay.
And if it's not good enough, then you're going to switch off after 10 minutes. Because my friend and I, we as we get older, as we all are, we find it harder to sort of sit through a movie we're not really enjoying. So if we're 45 minutes, half an hour into it, and we're not enjoying it, we're not going to keep it on.
Yeah.
We're just going to switch it off because life's too short. We'd rather watch something that's going to take our time. It's going to, it's going to be enthrall us, and like I say, and the scenes in Creepshow with Geordie, Stephen King, I much enjoyed.
Mesmerising, isn't he, on screen?
Exactly. I mean, if the second story was just like Father's Day for myself, I probably wouldn't have. I would have carried on, obviously, for the review's sake, but I would have been less enjoying it.
Okay.
So I was glad in a way, straight away. Not a great start, but put back into it quickly.
Cool. I'm happy with that. How did you feel how that segment ended?
Well,
because obviously,
yeah. The plant sort of it's like stuff comes out of him, doesn't it?
It's took over, hasn't it? It's took over the land and him.
Because it's not a plant. Like, it looks like the stuff coming out of him, the green, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like moss.
Yeah, it's like a liquid.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like, again, what I like about that is that's where Savini's makeup is sort of like an effect, of sort of taking part in the movie.
Yeah,
obviously the previous segment did also, but this is like I feel that every segment it was getting better and better with the effects. Like they were sort of reaching out, because
definitely
not gonna. We'll get to the last segment regarding the effects, but it always felt it was getting better, and I did really enjoy the last part. I did.
Okay, what would you give that? What kind of score?
I'll give that 7.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you enjoy that quite a lot more than Father's Day.
Yeah,
then.
it is exactly what, like I say, it summed up Creepshow in one story. I can't remember how long what was it, 15 minutes, something like that? If that?
Yeah, if
maybe,
not, maybe,
maybe
I'd
a
say
bit lower.
tops 20.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was any longer than
But
that.
that, for me, summed up what I was getting into. And like I say, I really enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, because obviously this isn't, well, it's a spoiler, but it was made in 1982. He ended up shooting himself, doesn't he?
Yes.
But there's no blood or anything because his body's been took over by the plant.
Yeah.
Very good ending. Okay, so we'll go on to the third one, which for me probably has the most mainstream cast, and because there's only two people there, which is Something to Tide You Over. It's got Leslie Nielsen, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Nielsen.
And Ted Danson from Cheers.
Very early role.
And then again from Day of the Dead, Galen Ross, who I met, who's lovely, by the way.
Is this the woman is this the person you were mentioning?
Yes,
the character?
yeah.
Again, I don't know. And I mean, there was a lot of actors and actresses in those in the Dawn of the Dead movies.
Yeah.
And I know, like I say, if someone said to me this actor, I probably couldn't tell you anymore apart from the chap from Devil's Rejects. What's his name?
Ken Foray.
Yeah, he's probably the only one I could probably tell you.
Yeah.
Until last.
So yeah, Galen Ross, like I said, it's lovely. I met her at Weekend of the Dead in Manchester. She was lovely, bless her. Yeah. So let me know your thoughts on this segment.
This one was a bit more normal, I thought. I mean, this sort of takes it back to because obviously it's about an affair.
Yes, so, Ted Danson and Galen Ross's characters.
Yeah, and Leslie Nielsen finds out and wants to exact revenge, but he does it in a very peculiar way. And in a way, it's quite an original because, he wants to. The plan is to bury his wife in sand, and for her to drown via a tidal wave.
Yes.
And to be fair, this is where I thought it got where the horror really came into it for me.
Yeah, it's dark. It was very dark.
It's very dark because it looks quite real. So she's got her body in the sand, and then suddenly the waves are coming at her, and it actually feels like, I think that is her actually getting the waves against it. It looks real, and but that straight away I thought, okay, this is horror vibes now. This is where it gets becomes a real horror movie. And then you've obviously got Leslie Nielsen, who's planning to do the same to Ted Danson's character, because he's the one he also wants to get revenge on, because he's the one who's having an affair with his wife.
Yeah.
And they have it's weird seeing Leslie Nielsen in this. To me, I see Leslie Nielsen. I think Frank Drebin, Naked Gun,
Dracula Dead and Love, innit?
I've really seen that. Do you know what? I don't think I've not even seen that film all the way through. Aeroplane, of course. Yeah, Don't Call Me Shirley.
I was just about to say that. Entwine.
But I love how different he is, because he's quite
a horrible man.
Sadistic, isn't he?
Yeah, he's horrible in it.
He's got no he's got nothing. He's got these videotapes of he wants to watch people he wants to watch the torture and of them drowning, and of course, and then he comes to the scene where he gets Ted Danson into the sand.
And he takes Ted Danson's TV as well, which is...
and he's filming it from, so it's been recorded, so he can... I mean, it's quite bizarre, because when he goes home to watch it live, and the worst part... I was sitting there the whole time thinking, hang on, isn't the... It's a weird thing to think about, but in Creepshow, anything can happen, I suppose. But I was sitting there the whole time thinking, isn't the tripod getting wet?
Yeah, because obviously Ted Danson's character can see Galen Ross's character drowning, and vice versa, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the TVs obviously get broken, swept away. And then a little later... Leslie Nielsen's looking back, laughing, isn't he? And then he hears a knock on the door. What happens next, Rob?
Well, the next part is obviously then... Well, you don't actually... so it doesn't look like the two characters, but it's them literally coming for their revenge. And they want to... they do keep repeating something to him. What was it?
I can't remember.
No, they keep repeating the same thing to him. And so straight away, the tables have turned. So the two characters, who are in the affair, coming in, and Leslie Nielsen is now the one panicking, because they're coming into him. At first, I thought, is this like a hallucination on his part?
Yeah.
Is it like a nightmare?
Yeah.
Because he's in a hotel. Well, it's his house.
Yes, yeah.
And
it looks like a hotel. I know what you mean.
But he literally is starting to it feels like a hallucination that he's up because he's sitting on his bed, and then suddenly he's getting knocked on the door, and it's them coming in, and they're sort of walking towards him.
They're bloated like bodies do when they're when they're lost at sea.
It feels quite nightmarish.
Yes,
But like I say, you sort of when you sort of someone's coming towards you and you can't escape, and they keep on coming, no matter how far you get back. And then he ends up in the bathroom, he locks the door, and then literally he's thinking, right, they've gone. That's the part where I thought it's a dream or nightmare. And then suddenly he turns around and they're there. And then it all goes completely different. And
obviously it ends with them burying Leslie Nielsen up to the neck, doesn't it? And then it cuts away.
Yeah, and again, I was watching it because this was Leslie Nielsen really acting. And I find that a weird thing to do. Well, a weird thing to see, because he is always doing the comedy side of
Yes,
things.
very much so. Yeah.
And in this part, he's actually screaming for dear life because he's about to have the same thing. The revenge is about to be on him, and that was like I say, that was a much more sadistic, chilling sort of segment to the story.
I'd say that was the most serious out of the segments.
I'd say it's where the effects are not strong. I mean, they're good. I like how they look great when they're as the drowned people, basically, like zombies in a way. But I still think, like I said, I still think it's like you say, it's one of the more serious side of the story.
And what would you give that segment as a whole?
Again, I say it's not, I didn't enjoy it more. I didn't enjoy it as more as the Geordie Verrill story, so I'll give it 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're coming in for the big one.
We are even, sorry. And this is also my favourite segment, and it's most people's favourite segment, for a good reason. Is the 4th segment is the crate, obviously with Fluffy the monster. It's got Hal Holbrook, Adrian Barbeau, I hope I said that, Fritz Weaver, Robert Harper, Don Kiefer, Richard P. Rubenstein, who I found out before was the guy that produced the original Dawn of the Dead.
Wow.
Yeah, and he produced loads of other cool stuff as well. That's just gone out of my mind. But yeah, check his name out when you get home. Some of the stuff he's produced that was really cool.
I like Easter eggs like that.
Yeah, he was one of the party goers in the party at the beginning.
Right. Okay.
And Chuck Aber and Daryl Ferrucci, who played the close-ups of I hope I said his last name right. Who played Fluffy up close.
Yeah, that was definitely Fluffy up close. Yeah, of course. Because I mean, when I was watching it, so have you seen the film The Relic?
I had with a big lizard.
Yeah. And that's again that I like films like so The Crate. I could sit back and watch a 90-minute.
You said that was the first thing you said to me. That was
90-minute. I could watch a 90-minute film.
The creature feature
of the movie The Crate. I could easily watch it because it's such a brilliant segment. Yeah. I mean, the story is quite. It's quite a simple story, really. Basically, so Adrian Barbeau is just a horrible wife.
Very, very horrible. You hate her.
Completely. She's a bully. She's horrible to Hal Holbrook, who's her husband. And he sort of just takes it on the chin. But he has these like little moments where he has like these little imagination imageries of him killing his wife in front of friends and just doing it and just can't stand her, wants to get rid of her and just happy to just never see her again.
Always has a smile on his face while he's doing it.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I can... None of us obviously can relate to that, but we definitely... it sets the tone straight away because straight away you hate Adrian Barbeau's character. Who's she? Wilma. You can't stand her.
Yeah, Wilma.
She is like the epitome of evil. And then suddenly you come to the... Is it Dexter?
Yes, Dexter Stanley, yeah.
So Dexter obviously is in like his lab.
Yeah.
And then one of the... it's the caretaker.
Yeah, like a janitor they call him, don't they, in America?
Like, it is a nickel, doesn't he? Like, sort of, the coin goes under the
stairs.
Stairs. Yeah. And in that stairs is a crate. And then
it's all chained up and everything.
Exactly.
And the kind of crates if you found, you'd be like, I probably shouldn't open that.
Yeah, very like Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of crates. Indiana Jones stuff. Like say, if you open it, it's evil in there. So anyway, Dexter gets involved, the caretaker, and they go into this lab, and then they basically decide to open it. And then as they open it slowly, like the caretaker is much more interested than Dexter, and Dexter's a bit more like in the background. And then he says, oh my god, I can see something inside it. And then suddenly this creature comes into life, and that's where it takes off. And that's where the gore really comes into the actual film. Well, the first out of all the stories so far, this is where gore really takes effect.
The only other gore you really see is when Nathan snaps the woman's neck and puts on the cake. Yeah. There's not really much blood in that.
No, I mean, this is like I said, this is where Savini becomes perfect.
Yeah.
Like I say, he just he takes the caretaker and takes him inside the crate, and then his body sort of stops, doesn't it? And then he's like, he's trying to see. The caretaker has his hand basically taken off.
Yeah.
You don't really know, but you just know it's happening because you can tell by his face. And then as Dexter approaches him, the beast basically just takes the caretaker inside the box and devours him. And then Dexter goes back to Hal Holbrook's house and then explains what's going on. And I think in a way this is where Hal Holbrook sort of goes, interesting.
Concocts a plan.
Got an idea here. And then goes back and cleans everything up. But he knows what he's about to do, so he has to sort of start his plan, and that's by he offers Dexter a drink to calm him down. But in doing so, he gives him sleeping tablets.
Yes, yeah.
So knocks him out completely, and then he goes back to the lab himself, Hal Holbrook. Now, his character is called Henry, and he then starts to clean up what's going on. He basically sees what's happened. He believes, obviously, Dexter's, this creature's done this. He said, right, clean up all the blood. I was actually quite impressed by his murder cleanup.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
he knew what he was doing.
he was very much like Stephen King's character in Sons of Anarchy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's going back a long time.
Yeah, he was a cleaner. He came up. He was a cleaner, wasn't he?
He was the one who sort of got rid of all the evidence.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that.
Neat. I thought it was a niche reference because obviously he's in this.
Yes, I need to rewatch it. Great TV series. But yeah, and then suddenly, obviously, so Adrian Barbeau then gets a phone call. A letter from Henry, and he's saying what's happened, and he's saying, I'm trying to help Dexter, trying to do all this. Can you come to the place and we'll talk about it? She gets there, and that's when the story really takes effect because he sort of lures her under the stairs, and he starts to beat her herself a little bit. But he's doing it to wake up the beast because basically the beast's got a name, Fluffy.
Fluffy.
He's doing it.
Shouldn't be the name really.
No, I honestly, to me, it looks like Bigfoot from Harry and the Henderson.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, that's a good reference.
Very similar sort of like face.
Yeah, that's very cool.
But so he wakes him up, and then obviously that's when again the horror really takes its step because he's trying to get Wilma inside under the stairs. She's actually at one point I thought she was going to escape. I thought she's actually going to outdo the beast here, which is quite typical, really. But he then gets her by the neck, eats her, and Hal Holbrook sort of he's relieved in a way, and then But this is a great. This could be a movie. It doesn't need to be. It could be about how his plan comes into place, the actual plan taking effect, and then it could be all just about the cover up.
Yeah,
and that would be a movie to me. And I wish that was a thing. I wish it was explored a bit more. I mean, though it fits perfectly for the Creepshow story, I do think if they took it out, Creepshow would have been affected by this because it would have made me dislike Creepshow because the crate is my favourite segment.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's most people's favourite segment.
Yeah.
But this for me is my favourite out of all of them. I'm not going to tell you it's the best at the end of the podcast. It is definitely the best one. So I'll tell you that now.
And out of 10?
10.
Ooh.
That's how good it was. I enjoyed it.
Wow.
I buzzed off every minute because Hal Holbrook and Adrian Barbeau, they are they were
both in the fog together.
They're both in the fog.
So was Tom Atkins, weirdly.
Yeah, and obviously you've got Adrian Barbeau also turns up in Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Again with Tom Atkins. And then that's what I love about those characters. It's like an alumni of John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And that for me, with Carpenter being my favourite, They Live, being my favourite director of all time. Stuart Gordon, Reanimator. No, I thought it was a great story. I mean, if it was longer, if it was a film, I might not give it 10 because obviously I think it's the longest story.
Yes, it is the longest story.
I think it was about half an hour, maybe 40. No, longer. I think maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's quite long. The whole film's about an hour and 2 hours. Sorry,
it's 2 hours. Yeah, I'm quite shocked when I saw how long.
Yes, so I would say that's a good 45 minutes. Yeah,
and so maybe if it was longer, who knows? But I definitely wanted to see more from it.
I would love to see them carry Fluffy story on in the show.
Yeah,
I think
I'd have liked a bit of backstory about Fluffy as well, like say where sort of like how it got there.
Yeah, because they're looking through the forms, they're like, well, that shouldn't be that kind of thing.
And that's what reminded me a bit of the movie The Relic, because obviously they find this crate and they go to the museum.
I need to watch that again. I've not seen that in years.
It's an easy sort of like creature feature, but it's a bit of an unknown movie.
Yes,
it was popular at the time.
Well, maybe we should review it.
Oh, it's not a bad idea. I'll happily watch that
again. So yes, we'll get to our last segment. Well, I say our last segment. We've got the epilogue after this, but the fifth segment. And to be fair, this is normally everyone's worst segment. I find a lot of people dislike that. I like it personally. They're creeping up on you, which has got E.G. Marshall, David Early, and Anna Muffy Lenora.
That's one shock I actually had when watching So again, I don't know much about E.G. Marshall. I'm not I'm not a connoisseur of his movies.
Yeah.
But I know E.G. Marshall was a big fish in Hollywood back in the day. He was part of the golden era of Hollywood, 12 Angry Men.
I was trying to think of the film he was in. It's 12 Angry Men.
That's the one where people remember him most for. But when I was looking at the credit sequence, I saw E.G. Marshall. I thought, wow, already I'd seen Ted Danson, Leslie Nielsen, Ed Harris. This is a film full of big players. And I did like this.
Yeah,
I did, because the main reason I liked it is because this is where Tom Savini effects became
Yeah.
This is where you saw the master at work.
He did a lot of gross out in this one, didn't he?
Yeah, and this is what I know him for.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoyed it the most, because I was watching it and I was thinking, these effects are very much like reminiscent to The Thing.
Yeah.
Not as good, but very close. I mean, both films came out the same year. But I was watching it and I was enjoying that side of things. But because I was so buzzing off the crate still, wishing I was watching that.
Yeah.
That sort of let this story down.
Okay.
But I still enjoyed watching the effects take place. I mean, he's a bit of a zany sort of like inventor sort of thing, isn't he?
He's a hermit, isn't he?
Yeah.
He does like germs. His apartment's meant to be germ and bug proof, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the word for OCD? Is it? We just look like
everything is spotless.
It's meant to be in order, isn't it? Yeah. And he's like an owner of a big company, and he's horrible, isn't he? Because there's one point where somebody rings, he's like, "Oh, so and so shot themselves," and he's like, "Good," basically, like that's less money I've got to fork out. And then his wife, the person that shot themselves, rings him, doesn't he?
That's right. It's got a bit of like Albert Einstein vibe about it, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's like I say, he's just like he's got the lab coat on,
and he's got the mad inventions like where the way you can put the bugs and they suck out.
That's right. And when the bugs start taking effect and going into the body and coming out of his body,
yeah,
I was watching it in awe really, because people will watch Creepshow fresh as daisies now and think to themselves, "This looks really cheap," but I really appreciate FX effects because they. You know, you can only make what budget you can only create with what budget you've got.
Yeah.
And I always believe what Tom Savini was doing, you know, whether it was in the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead sort of stuff, and this, you know, it was of its time and it was perfect. And I definitely get a buzz off watching those kind of effects, and they were second to none in this segment. They really were good.
Yeah, very good. I always thought that. Again, at the end, where he's obviously dead, and then they start bursting out the skin.
Yeah,
so it's good effects.
Yeah, because there's a scene like where you can sort of like on his sort of chest area, you can sort of see it's not real. But
yeah,
I didn't mind because
it's the 80s.
I appreciate. Yeah, exactly. You have to appreciate the time. If you sit there and think, oh, it hasn't aged well. It's like, of course it hasn't aged well.
Yeah,
it's not going to age well. And I get this a lot from film fans. They always say about things that haven't aged well. It bugs the hell out of me. No pun intended.
Oh, we've got a segment coming up soon called where we can talk about things like
that. Yes, but this was definitely. Like I really, really liked what they did with it.
Yeah, I find a lot of people. This is their most disliked one.
Why is that? Because I wouldn't say it's my dislike of the entire thing.
No, I completely agree. This, I don't know. I like all the segments personally. If I had to pick one I dislike the most. Probably something to tide you over.
I was thinking that because I was thinking more of the serious vibe.
Exactly, I like it a bit more funny. But yeah, I've always liked this. What would you give out of 10? Like that segment?
That segment, I'd definitely give it a 6.
Okay.
I mean, I know these aren't high scores.
But
the crate takes the entire thing. But like I said, at the end, I could be able to.
We'll give you a full. Give you a full score of Robin, mate. So we'll go on to the last part, which is the epilogue.
Yes.
Which is where two binmen, one being Tom Savini,
yes,
and the other being what was his name? Marty Schiff, I believe that's how you say it. He was one of the motorcyclists in Dawn of the Dead.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool.
Again, did not know that.
Yeah.
Again, Creepshow is. Like I say, I'm learning this from you now. I mean, I did look up a few trivial things on the internet. Some of them, obviously, you can't take. You can't say they're facts all the time because people like to make up their own as they go along. But Creepshow is like a rabbit hole of Easter eggs.
Yeah, really very much so. And obviously the ending ends with Billy, the binmen find the garbage men, for our American fans if we've got any. I don't like the quotation marks for that, sorry guys. They find the Creepshow magazine in the bin, and they go through it, and the voodoo doll is missing. It's where you send it out and you get it back in the post.
Because Billy then starts going to hell for leather on it.
Yeah, and and obviously it's his dad, and then Tom Atkins is holding his neck, and we come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to ask you is, Big Rob from Gronin, what would you up the Gronin? Out of 10 severed birthday head cakes, what would you give this film?
7.
You know what? That's a lot more than I thought you'd give it.
7 because again, Crate, Tide, Joe Verrill. I mean, I was talking to my friend actually. I think about half an hour into this film. And I was saying to him, he said, what were you doing? This is last night. And I said, I'm watching Creepshow for the review today. And he said that's Paul. And I said, so far, I'm not enjoying it.
Oh, well, who's your friend?
I won't say his name, just in case, because he'll be after him. But I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
as I say, by the end, I sat back and thought, I'm really glad I watched it. I really enjoyed it.
If you took the crate out of the film, what would you give it?
I'd probably give it more of a 4.
Oh wow! So the crate alone gives it 3 points on the
Yeah,
scale. Wow.
I mean, the crate is, like I say, it's I'm gutted we didn't get the film version of that movie.
Well, hopefully with Greg Nicotero.
Actually, I'll say 5 because, to be fair, like I say, I don't. When I watch a movie, I don't have to get the entire package. I don't. I mean, it's very rare you watch a movie and love it from start to end. It's to be fair, it's more rare than not. And like I say, and sometimes I will watch a film that is relatively a bit rubbish, but I will take the best part of it, and that will keep the score quite fair.
Yeah.
And Creepshow, like I say, the effects, and there clearly is a plan, an idea, and to be fair, it's an original idea. There's nothing really, since Creepshow, there's been Creepshow 2.
Yep.
There's
And
been
Creepshow 3, but
Creepshow
was
3.
awful.
Was there another name? Was it a different title of Creepshow 3?
I don't think so. I've got a DVD of it and it says Creepshow 3 on the front.
Okay, I must be thinking of another film. And then John Carpenter, Toby Hooper, and Wes Craven did Body Bags.
Yes.
It was Wes Craven, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
They did Body Bags. Again, a very
Toby Hooper, was it?
Toby Hooper.
Yeah, okay.
They did a very similar sort of movie, and I really enjoyed those films, those stories. But since then, since the TV show, which has been revived by Shudder,
Up the Shudder.
there's nothing really like Creepshow.
No.
Unless you talk about it in a comic book form.
Oh no, I suppose. Yeah, no, you're right there. Yeah,
But as a film, I mean, like I say, that's why Creepshow really does work perfectly for a TV show because that's what it's probably suited to.
Because they do 2 segments in one episode. That's what they
Right,
normally
I've never
do.
seen the TV show.
Oh, have you got Shudder?
I don't.
You'll have to lend my account now, Rob.
The account.
So that's it for this week's. Have you seen this? Thank you to Rob for watching this.
Yes.
I'm very glad that I'm very glad you gave it. Also, my score is a 9. I love this film a lot. I didn't think you gave it a high score, to be honest with you.
No, like I say, it started off bad, but it really picked up in the middle with the
crate saved it.
Well, yeah, but also I did enjoy the tide. I did enjoy Joey Verrill, and like I say, I did enjoy the effects of the last segment. And then I don't know why this is like just watching the Garbage Men. Like I enjoyed that because I just like I'm not like a freak here or enjoying. I'm not into garbage porn or anything like that. But watching,
is that a thing? Is that a thing?
No, but I love it in movies like The Burbs. You know the garbage guys in The Burbs?
Yep. I've only ever watched that once the other week.
Do you remember Men at Work with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen?
No.
There's something very cool, very vibey about... There should be more movies about garbage men.
Yeah, because bin men over here aren't cool.
No, well, Alan Conway.
Big Al Conway, yeah.
The coolest man there is. But apart from that, in America, they have, I just love the bins. They look steel bins, aren't they, and things like that.
Yeah.
They just drag them along. They've got the uniform. And
yeah.
In the movies, you sort of see them come across these, they have these situations, in The Burbs and Men at Work, and I got a good vibe from that scene.
Well, there you have it, guys.
A weird
Rob's
thing.
into Binman.
Binman.
So thank you for watching our first episode of Have You Seen This? And if you liked it, subscribe, share, let us know, and we love you guys. Thanks for watching.